So what are my essential sketchbook materials? And these are materials that I like to use for both drawing and painting in my sketchbook. I use a moleskin art sketchbook, so you can see it's hardcover. The paper is relatively thick, and so you can both use paint and it works really well with pencils. So I use it for both drawing and painting, as you can see. And I get the pocket-sized sketchbook, so I can easily take it anywhere. I can travel with it, which is really nice because I like to sketch often. So this is the sketchbook that I like to use. And then for drawing, I like to use pencils, have a few different types of leads. So I have up to 8B, a 6B, a 4B, and a 2B in these pencils. And this is really great if you want to do drawings that have a lot of variation in line weight. So sometimes I like to do that when I'm out drawing in the landscape. And so I like these pencils for that. I also have a mechanical pencil with an eraser that I like to use for doing some more refined sketches if I can find. Yeah, so here are some of the sketches that I did with my mechanical pencil if I want to get a lot finer lines. So I'll use this pencil for that. And then of course I have a large eraser, I have a pencil sharpener for these ones, and then I also have a kneaded eraser for removing some lines in a softer way. And then for painting, I like to paint in this sketchbook with acrylic gouache paints. I find that they are able to sit really nicely on the paper and they don't get super thick, so it's easy. Well, also they dry really fast, so that's really nice when you're sketching. You can paint something and then close the sketchbook and then you're fine. Unlike with oils, you have to wait a long time for them to dry. So I like how they dry quickly. They're not too thick, and so I think that they work really well on a sketchbook like this. And if you're a painter and you're curious about how a sketchbook can improve your art practice, then I hope you'll join me in my online class, Starting a Sketchbook Practice, which is happening this August. We'll go through simple sketchbook exercises you can do to improve the composition, the mood, and the expressiveness of your paintings. I really hope you can join me. If you want to learn more, check out the link in this video or in the description. Okay, now let's get back to talking materials. I like to use Liquitex acrylic gouache, and I have a few different colors. So I have titanium white, cadmium-free yellow, cadmium-free red. I have this fluorescent pink that helps me get some nice pinks and purples, ultramarine blue, a burnt sienna, and an ivory black. And this is very similar to my oil painting palette. So I have my primary colors and then a few extra colors. I feel like these colors work really well together and I can paint most of what I'm seeing. I also really like the Liquitex Essentials pack, which has a nice selection of colors as well. And it's good if you want like a starter kit for these acrylic gouache paints. And why are they called acrylic gouache? They're like acrylic paints, but they have this nice matte finish that's like gouache. So you can see it's not very shiny, it's very matte. But at the same time, unlike gouache, they don't reactivate with water. So if you put some water on this, you're not going to see any changes. And so if you like that effect of gouache, then you don't want to get these paints. But I like it because for me, it's kind of foolproof that I can lay a color down and then I can easily layer another color on top and I don't have to worry about the colors mixing. So I really like that aspect of these paints. And then for mixing the paints, I like to use this Masterson Stay Wet palette. So this is a palette, it's just a plastic box with a lid. And then inside you have this sheet of paper that's kind of porous. And then there's a sponge underneath here that I soak with water. And then that water soaks into the paper, and then the paper gets a little bit damp for the paint. And it allows the paint to stay wet for a very long time. Even it can stay wet for days. And so you're able to make mixtures of paint and use them without worrying about them drying out. So I love this for mixing paint whenever I'm working with my acrylic gouache. And then I also have a jar of water for washing my brushes. I have a little rag for drying them off. And then for my brushes, I mostly use kind of cheaper craft brushes. A lot of these are like Princeton series real value brushes because I do find when I'm traveling, oftentimes my brushes get a little beat up. And so I tend to go through them somewhat quickly. But I have a range of sizes. They're mostly flats with one round in here. But yeah, you can see there are a few different sizes from pretty large relative to the sketchbook to, I think this one is my smallest one, which it says it's a size 2. It's a, yeah, pretty small little brush. And I like using these flats as I do also in my oil painting. I like the angular strokes that they can create, and especially when I'm painting quickly, when I'm doing a sketch, I like that, being able to make those quick angular marks. And then the last thing that I have in my sketchbook, or for my sketchbook tools, the two last things would be this blue tape, which sometimes I'll use to tape off my sketches. If you want that really nice, crisp look and you want to be painting in your sketchbook, the blue tape can just make them look a little bit nicer. Not that sketches need to look nice, but I do like that look sometimes. And then also I have some pre-cut aspect ratios for kind of creating the frame of different sketches. So these are really helpful when I'm doing like master copies and I know that the painting I want to study is, say, a 4:5 aspect ratio. Then I can just put this down on my sketchbook and draw out the borders, and then I already have that size ready to go for my copy. So it's kind of a nice, easy way. I have several different sizes, like a 2x3. I have a few square ones. And so it's just nice to create some borders when I'm doing sketches of a certain size. So these are the materials that I like to use in my sketchbook. Like I said, I do both drawing and painting in my sketchbook, and I find it's just a really helpful practice to help me go through ideas or experiment or learn. If you're interested in the supplies I like to use for oil painting, I also have videos on that, so be sure to check those out. I'll put a link in the description. So there you have it. Those are my main sketching materials. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, or if you want to share any of your favorite materials as well. Thank you so much for watching, and a huge shout out to my supporters on Patreon. You guys are amazing. Thank you for supporting this channel and making these videos happen. If you want to watch my videos early and ad-free and get exclusive behind-the-scenes Patreon-only content, then be sure to check it out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.